What is up, everybody? Calling all angels. We are here for Pride. Yes, it is the Pride Day game or Pride Night game because this will be at 6 p.m., though the sun will still be out completely broadly. Welcome all to this final match of July as we preview Angel City FC, getting ready to go head to head with the 16th place out of 16 teams, Racing Louisville FC, the final home game and final game of July for this team. Our next matchup will take place in August. So, let's go into where we currently sit as far as the league's standings go. So you see, I've got my book here. I'm referencing all that. So we're going to go through all these things. I got my hat. I'm in the Angel City gear. So let's look at what we got. Angel City starting the week in position 7. Very much in striking distance of Kansas City Current, assuming they drop points in their match to Boston. We'll see. But as far as it goes, a loss could see them drop as far down as 9th if North Carolina or Orlando both have good weekends. On the other hand, a victory coupled with some positive results could see Angel City move up as high as 6th place. So a lot is swinging on this one. Definitely some business that needs to be taken care of. On the other hand, Racing Louisville, as I said, is the only team in the league who has not registered 10 points yet. They have 2 wins, 2 draws, and are now a solid 4 points behind everyone else. Chicago Stars sitting in 15th are the other one there. And that's where everyone is there. Availability report. Just go through everyone for the visiting Racing Louisville. We can expect Savannah DeMello out with an illness. Marissa DeGrande out on maternity leave. Taylor Flint is serving a suspension for events last week. Natalie Mitchell is out with a knee problem, and Taylor White is also out with a knee problem. None of their players are on international duty. However, Macy Philippus is going to be questionable with her hip, and Emma Sears is questionable with illness. So we know that Emma Sears had been complaining about. Well, you can imagine we've been talking a little bit about how unstable Louisville's situation has gotten. I have seen some people speculating that this could be a sign they don't want to put her out in the field and risk injury because they are looking at a trade. If that is the case, one of the prominent thoughts would be that Orlando would be looking at her to kind of fill the gap in towards the front, seeing how Barbara Banda is still trying to get herself back into full form, and everyone else on the team is learning very quickly how drastically unprepared they were to try to provide goal support without her in there. Moving forward there, we also have Angel City. In terms of here, Angel City has no questionable marks, so that's good. Hina Sugita is still out on SEI, so that's going to pretty much be a season ender, so just kind of assume that. Evelyn Shores will not be playing this one. She is dealing with a lower leg pain that came from the events of last week. Sydney LaRue has an excused absence that continues. Savvy King is still recovering with her foot. June Endo still recovering with her knee. No idea how serious, but considering it's been multiple weeks, she's not been put on the SEI list as well. That should give some optimism that she will be back before all's said and done. And other than that, we do also have Priska Chilufya, one of the backup strikers slash midfielders, who has international duty as the WAFCON tournament will be starting very shortly. Good luck to her on that. All right, so let's go over what we got here. I've been thinking a few of the things of this over as coming back from doing gym workout. I've been prepping for marathoning, and so a lot of the strength training right now. The first 5 weeks of strength training was mostly on getting the oblique and side abdominals stronger. The next 5 weeks seem to be focused on strengthening the hip flexors and just the individual legs. A lot of strength training where you're doing single leg squats, single leg glute bridges, single leg calf raises. So yeah, just a lot of stuff where the leg is being isolated. And I was just, while I was sitting there thinking through all the stuff going through here. And biggest thing is, Angel City has looked really, really good since we came back from the July break. And, I mean, some of that could be coaching change. Some of that could be wanting to prove themselves in front of the change in regime. But ultimately, what does have to be taken as a positive here is it appears that World Cup break was a rehabilitative because Angel City is going through a clean July. Yes, that is correct. This team has gone the entire month without giving one single solitary goal and is now one match away from completing that journey. It is grain of salt. Very important to note that when it comes down to it, we do have to acknowledge the elephant in the room, which is that Angel City is doing this with primarily the weaker teams of the league. Picking up a win on Houston, picking up a win on Chicago, picking up potentially a win here on Louisville. So a lot of the lower 5, lower 6 teams, the exception being San Diego Wave, who ultimately was missing one of their strikers at the time, and that has actually been common in all the matches here. Because you had people missing for Houston, Chicago, and most likely, if Sears is out, also Louisville, prominent players just being MIA, and that is definitely something that needs to be taken seriously, especially as we are trying to figure out where this team actually ranks. But the fact is, you take your wins where you when the opportunities present themselves, and with the schedule going to have some more challenges later on, it is important to get the points that you are supposed to get. And so, needless to say, I'm very much still expecting Angel City to put in the effort to grab a 4th win this month and come away with a perfect 12 points and hopefully walk away from the weekend in 6th place with a little bit of a pad separating them from being out of the playoff picture. Now, when it comes down to this, there's been a pretty clear statement for me that I think Racing Louisville is right now the obvious wooden spoon recipient. I don't see a lot from them that has impressed me, at least not in the last couple of months. They did have a very sturdy offense that at least was able to rack up goals, even if they were giving up a bunch of them at the same time. That has mostly gone away, and they have been losing pretty dominantly. If I could, I'm just gonna go hat off for a bit there. Yeah, the entire Racing Louisville squad feels like it has gone into a state of instability. That said, it's not like Angel City is immune from that. We had a coaching change here with the assistant coach moving on here to join Team Canada's national team, get them prepared for a run at the World Cup here in the next few months. We are, at this point, closing in on the 10-month remaining mark for that tournament. So, just looking over where Angel City is at the moment, there is a lot of transition here. There's been a lot of trying to figure out how everything is placed, but I do think they have found a position where they are actually able to thrive a little bit, at least against weaker opponents. We will see the stress test of this a little bit later on as we get further on into the season. Like, I know after this, it's a road trip, and it's matches with Kansas City, a match with Seattle. There is not going to be a clear and present, easy setup anytime in the immediate future. As a matter of fact, the next home game after this, the next two of them are going to be the current top two in Washington and Gotham. So a lot has to be said about where the difficulty spike is coming. There are still plenty of lower tier teams that we can get wins on, but there is going to have to be points where the team performs against playoff teams, teams fighting for playoff spots with us. And so what I'd like to see from this matchup is to see some in-play goals, not requiring the ref to notice us falling down and giving us penalty kicks. Because, admittedly, that has worked out, and congrats to Mayara for getting a goal off of that, but we do need to be able to do this in open play. This is a good opponent to really get the opportunity on that, because Louisville tends to not be very good at making stuff like that happen. So the opportunity is there. But the question's going to be, what is going to be the long term? What is this going to look like when we have a few more difficult defenses? Because this one is the one where you should be able to rack up your goals, and Jonsdottir should get one, and Giselle Thompson might be able to come up from the back and pull one out. Claire Emsley could find herself in a position to get one. There's a few people who haven't scored in a good while that this could be a good chance to reopen the floodgates, see some balls go through the net. But I do also know this team tends to get antsy with itself and force plays it doesn't need to, and that leads to games being way closer than they should, and it makes the last 15 minutes stressful considering how often they blow games at the end. What I am hoping for is to see the completion of a clean July, the fourth consecutive shutout for Angelina Anderson. Hopefully she doesn't have to do a whole lot, but again, if Louisville's offense is even a shadow of what it should be, she's going to have to face probably one or two really solid quality shots. And other than that, it is the Pride Night. Again, the actual Pride Month was all World Cup. So this is a chance to make up for that. This was the match I was trying to get to over summer. Unfortunately, not able to really find any traveling partners on that. So what would have happened is I would have been renting a car, likely booking a hotel, even at a reduced price on the USC campus, just for one day. This suddenly becomes a $400 trip. And so I am going to be looking more at some matches down the line where I might be able to make the drive after the match is concluded so that I at least can take the hotel cost out of it. And if that's not the case, at least maybe a cheaper flight, one that I can get for like the 50s or 60s. We'll see how it goes there. In any case, at least was at a Pride night in the dub. Got to be at the one for the Las Vegas Aces. Got to wear some Ace Pride socks. Good times. Anyway, looking at this matchup, my projection is that Angel City gets the goals they need and pull off this victory. Ideally, it should be 3-0, 3-1, more likely. I'm thinking the clean sheet streak ends here. 3-1. But this has been a solid return to form. Even if it is not something that can be sustained long term. And, I mean, literally, next opponent is Kansas City. This is not going to be something we can do in every game. But being able to get that advantage, it's put us back into the playoff positions. Depending on how much we were to win this match by, we could be as high as the second best goal differential in the entire league behind Washington. Because we are currently only one off from Gotham. So if they only win by one, or if they draw, or especially if they lose to Portland in the week, that is where you're looking. You're projecting out the possibility that you can get that massive goal differential advantage on everyone. So, with all that said, I think we've gotten this thing pretty thoroughly exhausted. Talking for over 17 minutes on a game that hopefully will not require a lot of analysis. If it does, you will certainly hear me going off during the live. And yes, we do have a live this week. I've already got it scheduled in the YouTube channel. So, most likely about 15 minutes before the match starts. It's supposed to kick off. The stream is. That might be closer to starting at actual 6 p.m. right around the time of the match. Just setting it up to come in a little bit early just so everyone knows it's coming. But yeah, hopefully you'll be able to join me for that. And if you're watching any of the other games coming up this week, we do have some other big Sunday matches. So enjoy the football. Enjoy rooting for your teams. If you ain't part of this fandom, enjoy what you can. Have fun where you can. And if you are, even if you're not, go Angels.